Have you ever had a feeling about someone? You couldn't explain it. Nothing obvious was wrong. But something just felt off. Then you did what most overthinkers do. You ignored the feeling. You started analyzing it instead. Maybe I'm being paranoid. Maybe I'm imagining things. Maybe I'm just being too sensitive. So you kept thinking, and thinking, and thinking, until you talked yourself out of what you felt in the first place. And sometimes, weeks later, you discover that your first feeling was right. And suddenly you think, I knew it. But here's the interesting part. Why did you ignore that feeling? And where did it come from in the first place? Your brain doesn't process every decision the same way. Sometimes you analyze. Sometimes you recognize. And those are very different processes. Imagine you're walking into a room. You meet someone you've never seen before. Within seconds, you may already have a feeling about them. You don't consciously calculate everything. Their tone, their expression, their posture, their behavior, their timing. Your brain can pick up tiny patterns incredibly quickly. But then, your conscious mind walks in. And suddenly, you need evidence. You replay the conversation. You analyze every word. You search for alternative explanations. You create 10 possible scenarios. Then another 10. And eventually, you don't know what you think anymore. But genuine intuition can come from something very interesting. Pattern recognition. Your brain is constantly collecting information. Most of it never reaches your conscious attention. Over time, those experiences create patterns. And sometimes your brain recognizes a pattern before you can explain why. Think about an experienced chess player. They can look at a board and immediately sense that something is wrong. They might not explain it yet, but they've seen similar patterns thousands of times. Their brain recognizes something before their conscious mind finishes the calculation. This is why intuition tends to become more useful in areas where you have real experience. A skilled nurse may notice that a patient looks unusually unwell. A mechanic may hear a strange sound from an engine. An experienced teacher may sense that a student isn't okay. They may not immediately explain it, but they've seen the pattern before. The problem begins when analysis doesn't clarify the feeling. It buries it. You keep searching for certainty, but certainty never arrives. So you keep thinking. And the more you think, the harder it becomes to hear yourself. And this creates a strange trap. You think you're being rational, but sometimes you're actually looking for reassurance. You ask, what if I'm wrong? Then you answer yourself, maybe I should think about it more. So you think more. Then you doubt yourself more. And the cycle continues. But here's where things get complicated. Not every strong feeling is intuition. Sometimes it's anxiety wearing an intuition costume. Anxiety says, something terrible is going to happen. Intuition is often quieter. It may simply say, pay attention. Anxiety tends to demand an answer immediately. It creates urgency. It creates endless possibilities. It wants certainty. Intuition doesn't always do that. It can be surprisingly simple. Something doesn't feel right. That's it. So should you always trust your gut? No. That's another trap. Your brain also carries biases. Past experiences can distort perception. Fear can look like intuition. And familiarity can look like safety. So the goal isn't to blindly trust your gut. The goal is to listen to the signal. Then investigate it. If something feels wrong, don't immediately dismiss it. But don't immediately obey it either. Pause. Ask yourself, what exactly am I noticing? What evidence supports this feeling? What evidence contradicts it? And most importantly, am I sensing a pattern? Or am I reacting from fear? Here's a simple habit you can try. When you get a strong feeling about something, don't immediately act. And don't immediately dismiss it. Give yourself 10 seconds. Notice the feeling. Name it. Then ask where it might be coming from. Because sometimes your first instinct contains information. You just haven't translated it yet. And sometimes your first instinct is simply fear. You need enough awareness to tell the difference. That's the skill. Not blindly trusting your gut. Not blindly trusting your thoughts. Learning to examine both. So the next time you have that strange feeling, don't immediately call yourself irrational. And don't immediately call yourself right. Pause. Pay attention. Investigate. Because your brain may be noticing something you haven't consciously understood yet. Your gut isn't a crystal ball. And your thoughts aren't always the truth. Both can mislead you. But when you learn to slow down, you can start noticing the difference. Sometimes the answer isn't to think more. Sometimes it's to pay attention. And if your biggest problem isn't trusting your gut, but thinking about every possible outcome until you can't make a decision, then you need to see the next video. Because sometimes, having too many choices can become its own kind of trap. I'll see you there.